The Flash Season 3, Episode 14, Attack on Central City. This is, of course, a two-part, or I guess technically our second part to the two-part event of just Gorilla City. So we get to see Gorilla City in the last episode. The Gorillas come to Central City in this episode. And honestly, I thought it was okay. I didn't really think anything amazing happened in this episode. Outside of probably HR being super mean in this episode. And the very ending, which I really loved the way they ended the episode. I thought that was a great way to end it. And I love the promo. Like, I'm super excited for next week's episode and how it seems like Wally's going to be like going crazy and seeing Savitar when he's not actually there. And somehow that's going to cause Savitar to come back. Maybe Wally taps into the actual Speed Force and Savitar's able to, latch onto him when he does that. Like, it seems clear that he has some sort of mental attachment to Wally, even within the Speed Force. And that's what he's trying to utilize and force Wally to kind of run so fast that he opens up, the Speed Force, and then that's how Savitar actually gets out. But I'm super excited for that. That seems like it's going to be a fun episode. And this one, I was really looking forward to it. I was like, alright, the last episode I thought was kind of cool. They go to Earth 2, we have our cool, small little fight sequence, but it was leading into, this crazy episode where the gorillas are going to be attacking the city, and that doesn't really happen. Like, I know the point was for them to stop it, but even the way they stopped it, I was like, it still wasn't that epic like I was hoping it would be. I mean, even the fight of them actually going up against the gorillas didn't last nearly as long as I thought. I was hoping we get, like, some cool speedster teamwork where they're, like, the three of them are running together and we see, the slow motion shots they always use. Like, even though they look CG, they still look good. Those are cool shots when they're running through and they're, I mean, they can't really knock them out of the way. They're not humans, they're, giant gorillas. So it wouldn't look the same. But them teaming up and stuff like that, I was like, I'm looking forward to seeing some cool maneuvers. And I just felt like we didn't get any of that. Like, we had Jesse and Wally, they run around, they take out some gorillas and stuff. Barry does way worse than both of them. He got, like, tossed aside in the first hit because he, of course, they had the main hero and the main villain thing. So he charges at Grodd, and Grodd comes at him, and he just flicks him across like he didn't learn anything from that last episode. Like, just look out for that giant effing shield. Bashed him right into a taxi, so he got taken out real fast. I don't think he even got up after that. He may have gotten up, but I don't think he did. And then after that, Jesse and Wally got knocked out as well. Or at least knocked down. And that's when they bring in Solivar, and, Cisco had to go find Gypsy on Earth 19, and so she does decide to end up helping him. And they bring in Solivar to battle against Grodd to stop everything. And that was cool. I did enjoy that. I think they had a cool fight sequence. Them kind of knocking each other around, and it was a lot of, moving just from place to place, because they would do like a punch and it would send the, other gorilla back, and so they'd have to move and climb over stuff. And I felt like that was oddly a big portion of the fight. I felt like at one part they just kept moving, but they weren't throwing any punches, and I was like, that's weird. I feel like they're just moving right now and not actually hitting each other. But I enjoyed that. I was like, that's cool. It looked cool. It was a nice little fight sequence. The CG was fine there. I thought it looked good. And then that was it. And, Barry actually stopped Solivar from killing Grodd. And fortunately, that didn't end up being a mistake, because I was like, I feel like they keep holding on Solivar, and it's going to, end up being that he gets stabbed in the back. I thought it was going to be that sort of thing, because I'm like, I don't know if this is a good idea. But everything works out. They keep Grodd. They actually send him to Argus, so that was cool. And all the gorillas go back home. And that was pretty much the episode. And like I said, I was hoping for some really cool, epic stuff in this. And it was kind of a lot like the last episode, where I was hoping for some great action stuff. And I think, for the first part to be like the talky part, I think is fine. But there has to be like some really big action sequence when you have all these gorillas coming in. And I personally felt like that was really missing. We had our cool fight scene, which, personally speaking, I think the first part of this two-parter was cooler because of its fight sequence. I felt that lasted longer than what they showed with Solivar and Grodd and Wally, Jesse, and Barry going up against the gorillas. I feel like that fight sequence was longer than both of those combined in this episode. And I feel like that says something. I thought that was just way cooler. It was very unique. And for this to be kind of normal, where they're just in their normal city, the location isn't really fancy, but they have to do something cool with it, like fighting a buttload of gorillas. That seems easy to me, to have something really cool, even if it didn't last long, something cool. But all we saw were Jesse and Wally running really fast, and I was like, alright, I mean, it's cool to see the lightning, but we don't really see what they're doing. The gorillas are just moving like this, trying to defend themselves, and that was it. And like I said, Barry just got tossed aside in half a second. And then the soul of our Grodd fight was cool, but I was like, man, nothing in this was like super epic to me. Even though, like I said, even their actual fight, I didn't feel like lasted as long as it should have. And that's probably a CG thing because they're 100% CG, so I get that. But I was just like, man, I feel like that should have lasted like twice as long as it did. Like they should have thrown some punches. It should have. I felt like it should have gone back and forth a little bit more than it did, and that just wasn't the case. And it just, and I love the way it ended though, because he knocked Grodd like off the building. I was like, holy crap, that was a cool way to end it for sure. But I just felt like it should have lasted a little bit longer, where they start with their weapons and then it goes down to like they aren't even wearing armor, or at least doing some more hand-to-hand stuff. Because I'm pretty sure, like Solvar didn't even break his staff. Like that whole fight, he still had his staff at the very end, and he was about to stab Grodd. And I'm like, man, I feel like them having this epic be-all end-all battle for control over the rest of the gorillas should at least break the staff or something like a bit more epic than what they did. And I just felt it was a little lackluster for everything that we were getting. And I was like, that kind of sucks. And outside of that, of course, was a lot of what we got from the last episode. It was relationship stuff and character-driven stuff. And this was also the Valentine's episode, which was interesting. But, we get that with Jesse and Wally, and they talk with Wells. And he's oddly calm about it. He pulls like this little ruse where he's like fake dying. But I guess that was just his plan. Like, and I thought it was going to be revealed that he was actually dying at the end. He just didn't know what to say in that moment to, reveal it to her. But that's not the case. He was totally lying, and I guess he thought that was just going to be a simple way. He was kind of counting on Wally to tell Jesse you should stay with your father. But of course, he like instantaneously told her exactly what happened. So that fell apart in 2.5 seconds for him. And it was like, yeah, he's actually not sick at all. It was just a total lie. And I was thinking like, oh, she's gonna be wrong, and he will actually be dying or something like that. And it was like, nope, that's it. He's not dying. He's not sick. And he goes back home. And I was like, all right, that was half a second for that lie. It didn't even really last or anything like that. So, it was an interesting way to solve the problem, but it also just felt like a useless problem to have. Like if he was just legitimately mad, I feel like that, even if that's the typical response, that would have made more sense to me than him doing the fake lie and having it fail as fast as it did. Like if it at least lasted through the episode, that's what I was expecting. But it was literally the next scene, and then it's not even him actually dying. Like it actually meant nothing because he's not even dying for real. So it was like, it was a plan that totally failed. And in one regard, that's unique because you never see stuff like that on TV. And then in another regard, it's TV. You don't need wasted life moments like that because it's a TV show. You're supposed to have all the important stuff, not like the fake lie that failed in half a second and then there's nothing to it. And he didn't revert to being mad after that either. That was just like his way of doing it, was lying. And then after that, it was like, okay. And he still wasn't really that mad. I'm like, well, what the heck? That really meant nothing. He didn't become mad later because he was busted. Nothing. He really didn't care that much because she was happy. And that was it. He was super mad at HR, which was hilarious in that opening shot when he that was the beginning of him calling HR really stupid, and he brushes his teeth. He was like, the difference is I'm a genius and you're an idiot, and he just spits right in his coffee. And I was like, wow, that was super harsh for no reason. Constantly went through the whole episode like that, which that being a part of it, I kind of thought made sense if he was actually dying. Like it's almost like this is the dude I'm leaving behind, who they chose to replace me, and it's this moron. I'm dying, and they got this idiot, and he's supposed to be like the representation of me. And I could see that making him angrier. And then it was just like, no, he was kind of being a douchebag a little bit. Well, not a little, a lot. Like HR was just happy, and Wells was just mad at him for being stupid. Although we had him for sure on the 10-second thing. He was like, it's 10 seconds, not 2 minutes. And he was like, that's what I said, 10 seconds. I was like, he had it, like on that one, yeah, because that was just dumb. But the other parts, he was just really mad at him. And I was like, this doesn't make sense now that I know he's not actually dying in any way, shape, or form. There seems to be no hints to it, or anything like that when he leaves, that he might actually be dying, but he didn't want to admit it. None of that seemed to be real, so even if they bring it back, it all seems dumb in this episode. Like, it was just pointless, and he was just mad at HR. He did, like I said, the fake lie that only lasted half a second. It didn't really make a lot of sense to me for it to last such a short amount of time. And like I said, for me personally, I expected it to be a lie by the end of the episode and all the revelations and stuff. And then it's like, nope, he got busted, and that was it. That the truth was revealed like 2 scenes later, and then it meant nothing anymore. And I was like, that seemed so pointless to me. Like it was just there because they needed extra time in the episode or something. But I thought that was pointless. Just the way they did. I mean, the Jesse Waller thing I don't think is useless because it's another speedster, not just another character, joining the team. So that actually is a huge element. It's just the way they did it, I felt, in this episode was kind of dumb. I do feel, and this is what my girlfriend mentioned, I do feel like they're definitely rushing it. And I mentioned this last week, the dialogue sometimes, where, some of the stuff they're saying is like, they've been dating forever and forever, and when Jessie mentioned like she was officially sure she was staying, Wally was like, I guess we need to find you a place, and she was like, us, and I'm like, man, they haven't even like gone out like that or anything. It was just crazy to me, and even if it's been, which it couldn't have been, more than a day since the last episode, it was just nuts. I was like, that is super fast. Like that's, I mean, no pun intended, but that's really insane to just be like, I like you, let's move in together just because she's staying on that earth. And it was just crazy. And I mentioned that even with the last episode, they never even showed them, like, when she was gone, they never had her in there, like, where they talk on the phone or send each other interdimensional messages. None of that crap. So all of it seems insanely fast anyway, that they have these feelings that are so insanely strong, for what they're doing for such an early relationship. So it just seemed a little, like that one line specifically, but we'll see how it plays out, and I assume over time it'll feel fine and normal if they actually do end up staying together. But I love the way it ended. They're watching TV, Casablanca, which I thought was interesting that would be Wally's like favorite movie of all time, was Casablanca. It's a popular movie, just be like, Wally wouldn't think that would be his thing. But he goes to get food, and so he takes off, and as he's running, he sees like a little flash go past him, and I was like, okay, this is going to be like another speedster, which we got a glimpse of on Earth 19, which I thought was awesome. Like the person that Gypsy was talking to, he had like blue lightning, like zoom. I don't think it was zoom where he was in there for half a second. It could have been. I really didn't even think about that until just now. But it was another speedster, and he took off, and he had like the blue lightning. I was like, that's really awesome. But he sees like this little flash go past him, and he turns, and it's Savitar, and they just cut the episode. So it was a great way to end the episode for sure. And like I said, I'm super excited for this next one. But this, I just felt like there was so much that could have been done that we didn't really get to see. I think the plan was great. I wish Gypsy actually helped them fight, because it would have been cool to see her and Cisco using their abilities. Like if they didn't have a plan first and she just helped them fight, that would have been way cooler. More visual stuff. We got to see it a little bit because she was mind controlled. So when she first comes into play, she's just, knocking people all over. And that was cool. And I was like, it would be sweet if we got to see her actually team up with Cisco as well as, like our speedsters. And we have a 5-person team going up against these gorillas for a little bit. And then it's like, this isn't working. There's a bunch of gorillas. There's not enough of us. We need a second plan. And then that's where they come up with the Solovar thing. That would have been way cooler. But it was like, she didn't want to help. And they go to get her help. And that ultimately leads to just less than awesome, action sequences. And I was like, I just felt like there would have been a little bit more. I did love the comedy. Like I said, HR was super funny being mad through the whole episode. I actually loved that. I thought that was hilarious. But like I said, other than that, like the main focus being Gorilla Grodd and all that stuff, I just thought it was like, We did have an epic sequence where Barry did save Joe from shooting himself in the head. That was a great scene. I wasn't sure that was being vibed or not. Honestly, the scene cut so fast after he saw the street signs. I thought he was seeing the future when that was happening. My girlfriend did too for a second. I looked down at something, and then I looked up, and it was nighttime. I thought for sure that he was at the street sign, and he turned and he saw them, and he was seeing the future. And I was like, no, this keeps going. Like, this is actually what's happening right now. I thought the whole bullet thing was going to be Joe fake dies, and it's like, holy crap, we can't have Joe there. We have to make sure he's protected so that he doesn't die. And I was just like, oh no, this is just, they just went ahead in time. Like, it seems so fast to me. But like I said, I looked down, I think she was looking at the screen, and it cut so fast, it didn't even seem like it actually changed time. It seemed like he was still vibing. So that really surprised me. I don't know if that was like something that, happened with you guys, but we both definitely thought the same thing. We were each watching it, and he was just like, I'm on this street, in this street. I looked down for like a second, and I heard some people talking, and I looked up, and I was like, oh, I just instantly assumed he turned, and he saw his friends on the street, and he's like, oh, I see you guys in the future. And that's what was happening. And then I was like, oh no, this has gone on for like 4 minutes now. This is the present. This is not the future. So that really caught me off guard. It seemed like such a quick cut, but maybe there's just something in there that we both missed. But like I said, for me, this episode I thought was okay. I did like the action sequences, although I liked the one from the last episode better. We didn't really get to see as much epic action as I was hoping we'd get to see. You know, with all these characters, none of the speedsters really got to fight for nearly as long as I was expecting. Barry didn't even fight. He just got whipped into a taxi. So we didn't get to see what I thought we were going to get to see, which would have been great, is three speedsters, you know, running around, taking out, you know, a couple of gorillas, and then an epic, you know, gorilla on gorilla fight sequence. It was like they ran around for a little bit, Barry got tossed, then they got tossed, and then it was a gorilla versus a gorilla. And even that fight scene was like, you know, cool to see, because it was definitely something we hadn't seen, so that was cool. But it was still just like, meh, kind of lackluster for me. So ultimately, I feel like what I was looking forward to most in this episode, which was the epic, you know, battle at the end, because that was kind of the big point, was stopping, you know, this part of the future and saving the entire city. And it was like half a second, and they saved it. And I was like, man, that was a lot of build up to this for 2 parts, knowing that it was going to go into this episode where all the gorillas attack. And then it was just like, all right, it's done. That was like, I think maybe a total of 5 to 7 minutes as far as both fight sequences with the speedsters and the gorillas fighting each other. All of that I think was probably like 5 to 7 minutes long, and that's it. And I was like, that was really short. I feel like it wasn't even that long, but you know, when you watch it, it's just like, I don't know, can't really tell, but it was interesting going through it. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't even 7 minutes long, maybe not even 5, honestly, but it just wasn't what I was hoping for. But I did, like I said, best part of the episode for me personally was the ending leading into the next episode and how crazy that seems like it's going to be. But I do want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below, let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I actually want to know, considering this was like supposed to be like a fairly decent event, which part did you guys like better? Was it part 1 where they actually went to Earth 2, or was it part 2 where they were back in Earth 1 and, you know, the gorillas are actually within the city? Me personally, I would still go with the first one. It was a unique setting. We got to see the gorilla city for the first time. We got to see Wells come back, which is pretty cool. The relationship stuff I didn't care much for in the last episode, but, you know, I felt like they didn't focus on it nearly as much in this one, and I think that was a bit better. But I still feel like most of the last episode was still in Earth 2, so I was fine with that. I was like, it's still really cool, unique setting. How are the characters going to get out of this? The prediction of the future with Caitlin using her abilities and stuff like that, and the way it ended where they actually grabbed Gypsy. And then it goes into this, and it's like, well, they didn't really use Gypsy like I thought they were going to. She wasn't in it nearly as much as I was expecting. We didn't get the cool action sequences I was hoping for. We do get Barry proposing to Iris at the end of this episode. That is a big step, and, you know, that was a cool little moment for them. But other than that, like, you know, the couple of moments I laughed at, the little bit of action that I did enjoy, I still feel like it just didn't, you know, compare to the first part where they were back on Earth 2, which was just a cool thing in itself. Whole new setting, much cooler fight sequence, even though some of the, you know, CG, once it was like, here's a mile behind him, and it just looks like it's a wall behind him. But even with some of the green screen you know, being absolutely perfect, still enjoyed the first part a lot more than I enjoyed this one. But like I said, we'll love to know which part of this 2-parter you guys prefer, them on Earth 2 or the gorillas on Earth 1. And of course, I do want to know what you guys thought of this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.